Well, we did it! So the other day, I made a video all about Sculk sensors and the many flaws they have, and I proposed several ways to fix them. The response was amazing. You guys really enjoyed it. So much so that some people wanted to make my suggestions a reality, and thanks to the power of mods, we can now actually test things out. And I've got to give a massive shout out to Gauster on Twitter for creating this mod. So here we have the vanilla Sculk sensor. You know, the bad one. But if we just put it in a crafting table and surround it with redstone, we get the better Sculk sensor. So by default, this new version doesn't detect anything. Yet, because we need to calibrate it first. If I want the sensor to listen out for walking, I just get some boots, right-click it so it holds the item, and now, when I walk near it, it starts reacting to my footsteps. And you can see it now gives a 2 game tick pulse instead of a 2-second pulse. And the cooldown is much shorter too. Unfortunately, because of the way Minecraft groups blocks together, there was no simple way of removing the unnecessary triggers, like pistons and tripwire hooks. So they have their own calibrations too. Here's a list of all the items you need for the different calibrations. It's still a lot, but at least we can properly select them now. It turns out that Mojang did think about making a calibrated Sculk sensor. There was a rather janky looking unused texture in the snapshots, but they decided not to go with it, even though as we can see here, it's demonstrably better. I went ahead and remade the walking detectors for this door using the new and improved sensors, and now it works great. The detection area is much smaller, so it doesn't trigger when you don't want it to, and yet it's so fast and responsive that you can sprint straight at it with speed 2 and you won't bump into it. You can see here that it now strong powers redstone through blocks, which is just a great quality of life change by the way, and it also makes it much easier to soundproof. While I was messing around with it, I also made some basic circuits. So here we have some double extenders, and here's my copium attempt at doing the same thing with the vanilla Sculk sensor. Yeah, that's not happening. Ironically, if I cheat a little by using sand, the top Sculk sensor hears the block landing and gives us the last pulse we needed. And here we have a piston wave to show just how easy it is to get odd game tick delays with this thing. Again, just for science, let's try the same thing with the vanilla Sculk sensor. Bruh. Yep, the vanilla Sculk sensor is worse than I thought. I was sure that I'd covered every problem in the last video, but it turned out there was more. If you power something directly with the Sculk sensor, it just adds an extra game tick of delay. So what should be a 1 game tick delay turns into 2 game ticks. It's now an even number. To fix this, you have to put a repeater afterwards, but that adds more delay. So the smallest odd number we can get is actually 3, and not 1. Luckily though, after I pointed this out to Gauster, he was able to fix this too. So as you saw earlier, the better Sculk sensor's timings are consistent no matter what. It also doesn't get triggered constantly when there's any entity on top of it, and if you have carpet mod, it's movable. You just have to type in this command. So it can now be used in flying machines. However, I'm not very good at flying machines, but I do know my voice cracked. But I do know someone who is, so I sent this mod to Pingu, and this is what he came up with. First, we have some remote control cars, which demonstrates how you can get flying machines to talk to each other wirelessly. Also, it just looks cool. The next one is a wireless TNT duper. We simply throw a snowball at this side of the flying machine, and it drops the TNT. Without the Sculk sensor, you'd need a flying machine like this instead, and you'd have to trigger it like this, using some kind of clock. Then we have this, which is a slow flying machine. This works by bouncing a sand block into the air with a slime block, and using the time it takes to fall back down as a delay. There's a Sculk sensor that's calibrated to detect when this sand block lands, and when it does, it pulls the back section of the flying machine forwards, and the cycle carries on. Without this, you'd need to bounce a minecart instead, which is of course an entity, and so it causes more lag. But Pingu took his sand tech a step further, and used it to make a movable, automatic TNT minecart launcher. These examples are just scratching the surface of what the better Sculk sensor can do. There's only so much testing that just a few of us can do in only 1 week. So please do download the Fabric mod and play around with it for yourselves. Link is in the description. You might discover something that we never thought of. Once again, huge thanks to Gauster for making this mod. And huge thanks to my patrons. They are Wilduck, Denkill5, King Parity, Tom and Jerry 342, Sir Doom, Sporemint, and 3KHO. Oh, and did you know? Around 85% of my viewers are are not subscribed, so please subscribe. I was catching up to Crafty, but now he's pulling away again and he's gonna beat me to 100k.